Now, the story for Gears of War Judgment takes place, I think, 15 years before the beginning of Gears of War 1. So, yes, we have another prequel on our hands. And here we are following two of our favorite characters that don't get as much screen time as they should in the other Gears games, Baird and Cole. Baird being the main character and the leader of Kilo Squad, which includes Cole, but includes two other characters, Sophia and Paddock, who are two brand new characters for the game. In the beginning, you see a huge explosion and you see Kilo Squad come out of a helicopter with handcuffs on, and you realize that big explosion, Kilo Squad did it. While Kilo Squad is being judged by a higher up named Loomis, they pretty much tell different versions of the story of what happened. The beginning, Baird tells his story, then someone else tells a different part of the story, and each character tells their different backstory and why they're even in this mission in the first place. The story is pretty much this. Kilo Squad has to go get a massive nuke that will take out a brand new enemy named Karn, who is destroying the city that they're in. And that's pretty much the story. That's really the story, and it just flashes back and goes back between characters over and over again. Now, I wasn't expecting anything deep here. I was expecting more funny dialogue from Baird and Cole, maybe some really good new characters, maybe some great interactions between the characters, and I did get some of that. I got some genuine conversations, some funny ones, and the two main characters are great, and the two new characters I really like as well. Thing is that the rest of the plot isn't so great. It's fairly generic. You know where it's going to go, especially since it's a prequel. You definitely know where it's going to go. So overall, the story here, meh. It's not great, it's fun, but nothing amazing. And now let's talk about the sound, and I like to start off by talking about the voice acting, and I have to give these voice actors credit. The script does not add too much personality to these characters, I don't feel at least, but the voice actors do a damn good job of portraying some emotions and some, character with these characters. Don't get me wrong, the script isn't bad, it has genuine moments and it's funny at times, but for the most part the voice actors do a damn good job of making these characters feel fleshed out and like characters. So the voice acting here is great. Now the sound design is top notch in the game. The thing is that it does sound great, but there's not as many big set pieces as the other games had, so that kind of brings it down a little bit, but still. The sound design is great here, and the soundtrack, while not amazing, is pretty good in the game. Nothing memorable, but it's decent enough. It does its job. So overall, I think the sound here is really good. And now let's talk about the graphics, which Gears of War as a series has always been a powerhouse in graphics, and this is no exception. This game looks beautiful. While it might not have all the awesome looking environments and set pieces as the other games, this game does have a lot of really open and nice looking shots of vistas and cities in the background and mountains, and it just looks so expansive at times and really, really nice. All of the characters are extremely well modeled and textured, and the animations are fantastic for all of them. The action never slows down or skips a beat. It's always frenetic and still very, very gory. I mean, it's awesome just to go to a locust with a chainsaw or your shotgun and blow them into bits and pieces, or just chainsaw them in half, or just kick them while they're down or something. It's really bloody, very violent, very vibrant and colorful like Gears of War 3. It is a damn good looking game, just like any other Gears of War game. So there you go, there's the graphics. They're great. But now let's talk about the gameplay, which Gears of War Judgment is not developed by Epic Games. It's only partially developed by Epic Games. The guys that actually developed most of this game is People Can Fly, the guys that did Bulletstorm and Painkiller. Now the reason why I bring this up is because the campaign itself is actually broken up into 7 sections each act, and I think there's about 6 or 7 acts in the game, and each section is pretty much a part where you have to go and kill all the enemies, and when you're done you can continue to the next section, get a little bit of story, and do it all over again. The reason why I bring up People Can Fly is because they did Bulletstorm, and in this game there is somewhat of a scoring system where you get more points if you become more unique with your kills. Like you go around with a shotgun and blow them all into pieces, or you throw a grenade, or you snipe someone in the head or something, not just go around and shoot everybody with a Lancer. The scoring system itself is limited, and it's really just a star system, and when you get a lot of stars you'll actually start unlocking stuff for the multiplayer, and hell, you'll actually unlock a separate campaign that you can play, which is actually kind of cool. And what makes it not very repetitive is that right before you go into each section, there'll be a big gear sign right on the wall, and if you click it, you can do declassified missions, which means you can actually go and do certain things while doing this mission. Like you can only use certain weapons, or you have 5 minutes until everything explodes, or there's only certain enemies in the environment. Like just things that make the missions themselves a little bit more flavorful. I found that to be extremely entertaining, and do I really need to explain the gunplay in this game? The cover system is still fantastic. You get a couple of brand new guns in the game, which are a lot of fun to use. The gunplay, everything in this game is so tight and so smooth and very arcadey feeling, and it really is entertaining by yourself, and it's probably even more fun with players, with co-op players, but I have no friends and I played it by myself, sadly. And the last thing I want to mention in the campaign is at the end of each act, you'll actually have to go and try to survive and bunker down and like place turrets and try to protect a certain thing against locust hordes, and it's actually a lot of fun just to do that, like set up turrets and get your ammo and put like grenades everywhere and laser trip mines so you can protect a certain thing. I found that to be very entertaining. Sure, the campaign is short and it's light on story and dialogue, but you know what? The gameplay here is so tight and so much fun just to go around with a shotgun and blow everybody's face off. That's what I did. It is a very enjoyable time in my opinion. But besides the co-op campaign, you also have the competitive multiplayer in the game, which a lot of people aren't going to care for because they did switch a lot of the stuff. The controls, the down but not out feature is completely gone, and it feels more run and gun besides cover-based shooter than the other games. But it's still a very tight shooter, very tight multiplayer. It is a very entertaining game, especially if you're playing with friends. You got a couple of brand new modes in the game too. You got Free For All, which is pretty self-explanatory. You also have Overrun, which is pretty much the replacement for Beast Mode, where one team plays the Locust and the other team plays the Human. The Human has to protect a certain objective, and the Locusts have to go and of course destroy that objective. It's a pretty fun mode, especially playing as a Locust. I thought that was very enjoyable, even though they did that in the last game with Beast Mode. Survival mode is pretty self-explanatory too. You have 10 waves you have to survive. It pretty much replaces Horde mode, and it's not as fun, but it still is very much enjoyable as well. So overall, I found this game to be very, very enjoyable. Even though the story was lackluster and the multiplayer was a bit disappointing, I still very much enjoyed the campaign. One of my favorites of the Gears of War games in my opinion. Really, really enjoyable all the way throughout. So there you go. There's my review. It's still a really good package. Definitely go check it out. Thank you and goodbye.